Professor Plimer has arrived, ladies and gentlemen. And while he's getting himself settled in his seat with a cup of tea, let me remind you that the Rising Sun is one of our sponsors, and if ever you would like to check out an absolutely marvellous first-class restaurant and bar and pub, it's really an inn, a very old-fashioned inn, one of the oldest, in fact, in the state. The Rising Sun Inn at 60 Bridge Street at Kensington. You can ring Grant on 8333, that's 8333, 8333-0721. And whether you're having a quiet, intimate little romantic dinner for two, or a lunch, or it's a product launch or a celebration, or I don't know what, class reunion, could be absolutely anything. You'll love it. The Rising Sun Inn, 60 Bridge Street at Kensington. Bronwyn Bishop with us in a second. She ain't a rose, no rose. I don't know what it means, but I like it. Professor Plimer, how are you, sir?
I'm very well indeed. I was just discussing about the number of miles I chalk up. On Monday, I drove Adelaide to Robe.
Yeah.
Tuesday, I drove Robe to Broken Hill, which was 840 kilometres. And yesterday, I drove Broken Hill to Adelaide, which is 530.
And you look as fresh as anything. I mean, that's enough driving in a week to put me in hospital.
You've got to get your match fitness.
Yeah.
And I believe we are both together at a lunch next Friday, and I will drive you.
Oh, yes, all right.
The driver.
All right, you can do that. Now,
so you'll see that all those miles that I've driven have done me absolutely no good whatsoever.
You've met Les Elekes, of course. One of the things that I did last weekend was to go up to Sydney to the Reg Grundy Memorial, which was a most interesting, most memorable occasion. And I had the opportunity to meet some people I haven't seen for ages and ages and ages. And one of them was the wonderful Bronwyn Bishop. And I believe you two are fairly well acquainted, aren't you?
Well, we've met.
I thought I'd ring her up and put you both to air on the same time.
Last time we were chatting was at the CPAC conference in Sydney, but the very first time I met her was at a Liberal Party conference in Sydney. It must have been 25 years ago. And I got up to talk about climate, and she pulled me aside.
What, back then?
Back then, and she pulled me aside and said, "This is not the way you talk to a political group." And here I was at the Professor of Earth Sciences at the University of Melbourne, and she pulls me aside. It was
got a lecture.
I did get a lecture, and it was very good advice, which I've taken ever since, that you talk to different audiences different ways. If I was at a scientific conference, I would be using the normal nomenclature. That just saves you a lot of time. But it was a valuable lesson that she gave me, and I've seen her off and on since then, and one of her good friends is a good friend of mine, and we've worked on boards together, and we've often said, well, when I come to Sydney, we'll have lunch together up the Insular Peninsula. But wherever I am, I'm only there for a millisecond because I have creditors all over the place.
Oh, God.
I've just got to keep moving.
He's got to keep moving, making use of all the natural cover that he can.